I know. I need a higher definition than what it seems. There's gotta be more, gotta be more.
Come on and take me higher, yeah. There's gotta be more, there's gotta be more. I wanna know beyond all the rules and even past the school. I wanna know more, yeah, yeah, yeah.
I need a higher definition. I've been searching for more. When will I find it? When will I see it? What will I do? When will I know? I need a higher definition than what it seems. There's gotta be more, gotta be more.
Come on and take me higher, yeah. There's gotta be more, there's gotta be more. I wanna know beyond all the rules and even past the school. I wanna know more, yeah, yeah, yeah.
I need a higher definition. I've been searching for more. When will I find it? When will I see it? What will I do? When will I know? I need a higher definition than what it seems. There's gotta be more, gotta be more.
Come on and take me higher, yeah. There's gotta be more, there's gotta be more. I wanna know beyond all the rules and even past the school. I wanna know more, yeah, yeah, yeah.
I need a higher definition. Good evening. Welcome to Higher Definition Radio, where our goal is to take you higher. We have some amazing guests, and we are continuing
from last week. I guess a lot of y'all was excited to hear from men, and you wanted to hear more about how we need to man up. I guess I received feedback at church today, so that let me know folks were unashamed to let me know how their feelings about where we are and what we're doing. So I definitely want to say good evening, everyone that's watching and joining us. I don't think it's too late to say Happy New Year for the people I haven't spoken to, but that Happy New Year has a deadline to it. You can't be in February still talking about Happy New Year. Warren Moffett, how you been, sir?
I'm doing all right, brother. How you doing?
Man, any better, I had to change my name to Warren Moffett. My mama might not go for it, but that's what I might have to do, sir. Oh goodness, Fred, how's your week of the living and the unliving going, sir?
Man, it's been last week was a very productive week, and Mark, listen, you got me in a little bit of trouble. I'm just gonna put it out there, high definition. I confessed openly that my lovely children didn't get me anything for Christmas. So Monday, I did get something for Christmas. I did. So let me tell the whole truth. And if you're wondering what she got me lust in a bottle. So you have to know what that means.
Look at God. Higher definition is making things happen. We making some moves out here. We making God deliver. Boy, praise God. Somebody prayed for that, Fred. Somebody prayed for that, sir.
Raise your hands and give God praise.
Somebody said, hey, Minister Fred didn't get anything for Christmas. We need to put prayer on that. And somebody went to their prayer closet last Sunday, and on Monday, look at God.
Look at God. Won't he move?
Oh boy, I might be joking a little bit too much for Pastor Ed. That might be considered blasphemous. But Pastor Ed, how are you, sir?
I'm doing good. I did get something for Christmas, and my wife gave me an amazing gift, and my daughters gave me amazing gifts. And if they're watching, you gave me amazing gifts. So thank y'all. Love y'all.
Oh boy, we getting down to Mr. Pull Up himself, Mr. White. And I said I wasn't gonna call a grown man Mr. Pull Up. That's just like calling a grown man Delicious. But I didn't want you to change your name profile, sir. If that's your brand name, and let me say this: when the phone rings and you look who's calling, it says Mr. Pull Up. So I can't do nothing to change that. I appreciate your audacity and your boldness to have Mr. Pull Up as your name that shows up on the call ID. Tell us a little bit about yourself, sir, and give us a little bit of your background. We're glad to have you.
Man, thank you for having me. I'm gonna repeat my name, Dario White. Everybody call me Mr. Pull Up, the traveling barber. So right now, I'm a traveling barber. I go to people's homes to cut their hair. I'm from Rock Hill, South Carolina, and what I did was I turned a Mercedes Sprinter van into a mobile barbershop. So, say for instance, if you can't get off from work or you on your break, I can just pull up to wherever you work at, and that's pretty much that's who I am as a person. I have 4 kids. I'm married to my wife Raven. She's great. And that's pretty much my life.
Man, no, we appreciate you, and don't let me have you change your name. Put Mr. Pull Up back up there.
Because I thought you wanted me to change it.
No.
Let me change it.
Listen, man, I said I joke around. Don't take me that seriously. I will call you Mr. Pull Up. That is your brand name, and I appreciate your brand name. Like you branded yourself that. There we go. That's what I'm saying. Look at God. And let me say, because we're talking about manhood and men doing things, Fred and Mr. White, aka Mr. Pull Up, have 2 businesses that I'm sure people said wouldn't work. But so I'm gonna go to Fred first, and then I'll go to you, Mr. White. Tell us about Fred. How, from a man standpoint, you said, "Hey, man, I got to do this."
Yeah, I'll try to make this super quick. I shared this briefly last week. On August 8, 2012, I was stabbed in the neck. I was working in law enforcement. Young man stabbed me. And for whatever reason, a light bulb turned on in my head. I knew that I had to work somewhere. I knew that I always wanted to be a funeral director and embalmer, as a kid. And I remember having this conversation with my dad, and I'm giving a really short testimony. I remember having this conversation with my dad about what the future was going to look like as it relates to my employment. And I told him, I said, but Daddy, I never work for anyone else again. I didn't know what that was going to look like. So when I started doing my apprenticeship at a funeral home here in Heath Springs, I found out that it was so much more than what I thought it was going to be. I saw funeral day, but I didn't see everything leading up to funeral day. So owning a funeral home kind of went out of the window for me. So I started looking at what are some other things that I can do in the funeral industry where I can generate my own income. The thing that I looked at doing, there's a gentleman that has a horse and carriage, very successful business. I was going to buy him out. He was going to send me everything but the horse. When I started looking at the cost of the horse, the upkeep of the horse, riding, like I didn't want any of that. I said, well, dang, I know how to ride a motorcycle. Let's see if we can do it the same way. So I bought a motorcycle, and literally I made contact with every person you can think of that can build a carriage. And I ended up talking to a guy that builds rides for kids. And I told him what I was looking for. He gave me a couple of drawings, and we agreed on the price. I'd never seen this guy before. I did a wire transfer to Michigan for several $1,000s, and he started the process. It took about 6 months later for him to get it back to me, told me it was ready. And we've been in business ever since. As you said earlier, I didn't have anyone that was bold enough to say, hey, man, that's not going to work out. But they told me in ways by not investing that it would be comments like, you sure? I've never heard of anything like that before. And now, like Everett, my dad, several other people like, man, you've done it. Yeah, you've done something that I didn't think was going to happen. They'll tell me on this side of it, but in the infancy stages, they're like, this is not going to work out.
And I'll ask the same question to Mr. White, aka Mr. Pull-Up. I am sure, I know black folks, they probably was like, look, man, there's 1,000 barbershops in Rock Hill I can go to. You mean you want me to sit in a Sprinter van? Tell us that process from the man standpoint. You say, no, I got to make this happen.
Well, from the man standpoint, man, like Fred said, I want to make a long story shorter. I had went to prison. So when I went to prison, I didn't know what I was going to do. I came home with odd jobs, trying to figure it out because I knew I didn't want to go back. So I did work in the barbershop first, but I didn't really like the barbershop atmosphere, and then I realized men, they talk, but they just talk about sports. And I noticed a difference when I go to their home. When I go to their home, I started with a Lincoln Town car. So I just go and cut hair and pull up a chair and we talk in the house. So I noticed that a lot of men unload themselves in a different way than when they are in the barbershop. So I felt like, I was helping the men unload because they might be going through something, and they want to talk. They don't really have nobody to talk to. So I helped them with that. So I realized then I wasn't just a barber, I was a confidant, I was just someone that I can help another brother just by looking fresh and, unload. So after that, it was like, I got, like you said, a lot of people, spectators was like, yo, what is he doing? I was going against the grain. A lot of people they seen mobile barbers, but not the way I was doing it. I feel like I was the first to turn it into a business, because you had Joe Smoke in the neighborhood to go cut your hair at the house, but I branded it because, I seen it working. So then people was telling me it wasn't. So after that, man, I just went full force because I knew I didn't want to do nothing else. I didn't want to go back to prison. That's just pretty much what it was. I was like, I don't want to sell drugs. I don't want to do any of that. So what I did was I just put my all into mobile barbering. And today, I've been on the BET Awards. I've cut them 3 years in a row. I've done country music awards. I've cut multiple celebrities, and I just grew. And then it grew so much to the point where I got a Sprinter van. I own another one. I just purchased another one, and I'm gonna convert it into another mobile barbershop. So it's just what my plan is, just to have a fleet of mobile barbers. So I'm looking to hire a barber. If you're interested, just give me a call. So that's pretty much, from a man standpoint, I knew I had to focus and do what I had to do as a man, because I knew, my kids depended on me. I needed more responsibility, and I had responsibility, and I didn't want to let them down.
Wow, it's a powerful testimony, a powerful story. And that's what I'm saying. Like a lot of times as men, people focus on the here and now and not understanding the path it took us to get there. Warren, what drives you as a man to get to where you are today?
Again, like, piggyback off what Mr. Pull Up was saying, as far as it's family, similar stories, prison, you know what I mean? Knowing what the bottom looking like, a point of looking like you're hopeless, you know what I'm saying? And remembering that, we place ourselves in that position, and not want to put yourself back in that position. So you got to make changes, hard changes, especially when you got a wife and kids, depending on you. When you by yourself, you can kind of make those. And I still made some not smart decisions with my family, but it came to a point you got to realize, like, hey, you know what I'm saying? It's either left or right, so just looking in the mirror and knowing that you got to make a change if you want to change your life. You can't do the same thing and expect different results,
And Pastor Ed, let me ask you the same question. What drives you as a man? I'm listening to some powerful testimonies that people said, no, I'm not going back to wherever I came from. And for everyone, that ain't prison. But for a lot of Black men, that might be prison. That might be incarceration to turn our life. For some, it might be military. Like, nah, I've had enough of that. Let me figure out something else. What drives you, Pastor Ed? And you're on mute.
It's men like this honestly drive me. Like it's the fact that, and for those of y'all, I just want to preface this, for those of y'all that are rolling your eyes or nodding your head about people talking about prison, understand that for everyone that's in there, there's some others that should be. And I'm a witness to someone by God's grace that I didn't go to jail, but I could have. So, what I see though is men that are rising above a situation. They're not defining themselves by what they went through. They're defining themselves by a vision. These two brothers have vision. I'm all about trying to get folks to recapture their vision, right? That's really what a preacher is. It's trying to get people to see God, but you have to see yourself too. And you have to see yourself victorious. You have to see yourself more than a conqueror, right? And all the cliches you hear in church, but especially for our men, like there are so many success stories. To me, these are success stories that like motivate me when I don't want to go to work, right? Because I don't know about for y'all, but it's more of a fear of failure than it is a desire for success. Like I don't want to fail, like because I got too many people depending on me. So a lot of times for me, that's what motivates me. It's not letting down the people in my life. And I know all you ladies gonna say, "Oh, we're in this together." That's fine, but that's the way I'm wired. I'm wired to be a provider, and I'm wired to be a person that takes the blame when something goes wrong. Like that's me. So I think that's what really motivates me is connecting with successful people and being able to learn from them. I like Brother Warren, man, and this dude, like, you inspire me, and I just think hearing other people going through what you're going through, even though it might not look exactly the same, at the end of the day, we as men are all going through, and seeing people rise above that is what's inspiring to me.
No, I want to touch on this. You said something that I think all of us as men have touched on: the fear of failure. I used the analogy last week. I'll use it again. If a foreclosure sign went in front of my house today, or if our cell phones are off, or if anything happens financially, people gonna come to me, and that I've failed. So I want to ask Mr. Pull Up, the fear of failure, sir, especially as a man. How much does that drive you? I know you say you not want to go back to prison, but the fear of just failing, like that is something that sometimes has paralyzed me. Like I got to figure this thing out. I can't worry about anybody in this house figuring out how these lights gonna stay on, how we taking vacations, what type of car we driving. Can you talk about that fear of failure?
Yeah. So how can I put this? the fear of failing didn't show up for me as fear. It showed up as like pressure. You know what I mean? Pressure to provide, pressure to be consistent, pressure not to let people down. It wasn't the fact I was afraid of losing the money. I was afraid of being counted on. I was afraid of being counted on and coming up short. Like falling to me meant my business not working because I really don't have anybody to fall back on. You know, like my mom and dad, you know, they did their best. Like it's just me. You know, I don't have an aunt I can call and just say, hey, can I hold a couple $100 so I get on my feet? You know, it's all or nothing. So I know the fear for me was just I don't have anybody. So I have to make this work. I have to do it right. I have to grow as a man to be better than I was yesterday. I have to always just grind, man, you know. And my sons, I want them to look at me and just be like, okay, my dad did it. And that's who I do it for. You know, that's what I'm really afraid of failing for is my kids. You know, it's that's what I'm afraid of, man. And I don't, and that's what drives me to answer that.
No, I appreciate that. And I appreciate all of us and I use the word vulnerability again. And Warren, I'll go to you talking about this fear. I can honestly say there's nights I sit up all night and being afraid that I am letting someone down or something down. I take
Right.
the same pride with higher definition radio for anybody that works behind the scenes. No, whatever we need to do, we gonna make sure this thing work out to the highest quality. We're gonna talk about it, we're gonna do it. So everything in my life evolves around and that is something I don't know where I got that from, but like my dad does not let anyone down. He's gonna work even if the rest of the family's on vacation because he knows the bills have to be paid. Warren, can you talk about that type of fear that might paralyze us?
I mean, make a little joke. When I was younger, I couldn't spell good, so you know, I never spelled fear. I spelled it as FAITH, faith. You know what I'm saying? So I realized I believe what a man thinketh, you know what I'm saying, is what he become. You feel me? So I don't think I've not trying to sound cliche. I mean, I didn't fear it before, you know what I'm saying? But every time I feared, it appeared. So I don't fear no more. I just got faith, man. I got faith that, you know what I'm saying, God gonna provide. You know, I got faith that, you know, it always work out. You know what I'm saying? No matter how scary it looked, you know what I'm saying? But every time I feared, it have come to pass. So I learned how to just switch that fear to faith, you know what I mean? And I just I believe in God, man. I believe in God, but me believing in God helped me believe in myself so much, you know what I'm saying? So I just do what I got to do, not making it sound like it's just easy because it's not easy. You feel me? I'm capable, you know, I'm healthy. I can get out the bed, I can work, I can provide for my family. So I just got faith that that I can overcome. I put the fear behind me, you know what I mean? I overcome the fear, and that's what pushed me.
No, I like that. And Pastor Ed, man, there's plenty of scriptures to tell us to fear not.
300. There are 365 scriptures that tell you not to fear. So we know it's an issue. And I agree with what Brother Warren says. I also know that even in the Bible, you had prophets like Elijah, right? Elijah was talking junk to everybody. Then one woman got mad at him. All of a sudden, he lost his mind, right? He's running from this woman. He wasn't running from all these other prophets, you know. So we all have those moments. And I agree with everyone here. I fail every day. And people got to own up to, people say, I've never failed. That's a lie. You just have to know that failure is not a bad thing.
Right.
What's a bad thing is not recovering. You know, we all fall down, right? We all get knocked down. And I think a lot of us are like, well, you know, I don't look at it as failure. That's fine. Look at it as you either win or you learn, right? We either win and learn in every situation. So when I get knocked down, I learn from it and I'm better for it. So it's not like fear paralyzes me, but what it does do is it motivates me. And for the same reason, I don't care about stuff, but I want to be able to provide for my girls. I got daughters. I got a wife and 2 daughters. Like, I want to be able to make sure they can get to school. They don't have to worry about the money that it costs. They don't have to worry about anything but focusing on their education. They already got to worry about being black. I mean, let's be real. So why do I need to add the worry of them having to worry about their tuition, worry about room and board, worrying about are they going to be able to eat, worrying about do they have to come home and quit school? The things that maybe I worried about, right, coming up because I knew my parents didn't have, so just stuff like that.
Fred, you see it from two different standpoints, or probably multiple more than that. When we talk about fear, uh, fear has put a lot of people in the grave, and I'm sure you saw that from the mortician and the funeral director side, and also as someone that's faced their own mortality, being injured in the workplace injury and going to combat, going to war. Can you talk about how fear has either motivated you or hurt you at times?
And I'll do that. And let me do this real quick before I answer. Even when you began, you talked about my business, you talked about Mr. Pull Up, even Warren, and like Pastor Ed, it took a different level of faith for you to like. You could have easily stayed at a church and been an associate, pastor somewhere.
Yeah.
It could have been cool, but to launch out from something safe to the unknown takes a level of faith. It takes a level of dedication that most people don't think about. Now we talk every day, sometimes 4 or 5 times during the course of a day. And both of us, we oftentimes talk about, hey, if I were a pastor, I would do this, I would be this. And the fact of the matter is, I can only say, I know that I'm not bold enough to do that. So I don't ever want you to discount the sacrifices and the amount of faith that it took for you to step out of certainty to uncertainty. But Mike, to go back to the answer to the question that you provided, that you asked about, and it sounds bad when I say this, but I think that having a near-death experience changed my life for the better. I lived my life. I was fearful that I was going to be evicted from my home. I was fearful that the car was going to be repossessed. I was fearful that Raven wouldn't have enough money to go to school. And so instead of fear paralyzing me, fear actually motivated me to go out. And as Warren and these guys were saying, staying at home in the bed was never an option. I directed school traffic in the morning. I worked my regular shift at the sheriff's office. And then if I could find some extra duty stuff, I did it because I knew my job was to provide and to protect. But on the other side of it, when the almost the unthinkable thing happened, that helped me tremendously to not live life so safe. It gave me, I really believe that a near-death experience really caused me to live. I took more chances. It breaks my heart when I hear people in funeral services, when they're making remarks, and they always talk about how much potential this particular person had. Potential that they never used. Potential that's going to a 6-foot grave. So I believe that it's our responsibility to like whatever it is, men, that you believe that God has called you to do. I would never, ever, ever let my wife, my daughter, my children, or anyone talk me out of doing whatever it is God has called me to do. It's either, and this is the way I see it. If Carolina's Motorcycle Hearse Services, if it propels and we can't keep up and we're doing services 7 days a week, my wife and my family are going to say, look at what we've done. But if the business folds, it's going to be, look at what you've done. And I'm okay with that. I'm perfectly, because at the end of the day, I know that I'm doing what God has called me to do.
No, and I want to touch this, and I'm gonna go back to Mr. Pull Up. When we talk about life altering events, so it's not my last surgery, but my last spinal fusion. It was not a ordinary surgery. I had a lot of complications. It took them quite a while to wake me up after surgery because my blood pressure had skyrocketed. And the recovery was hard. If you can imagine, a spinal fusion is nothing. It's probably, to me, one of the worst surgeries you can have because you're immobile and you're bedridden. I literally, and you couldn't convince me even to this day that those walls in my room were not 2 inches from my face. Like, you couldn't convince me that. That's how I felt. That's my mind playing tricks on me. But it propelled me to say, man, making it through this, when I get on the other side of this, I can't waste time. I got to make some stuff happen. Like, life might not be quite the same as it was before I had the surgery, but I got to get up and make some stuff happen. And I think sometimes as men, we might give up, right? Like, man, and we all have met people with drinking problems, drug problems in life and just beat them down, or significant other wife problems. Let's be clear.
Yep.
I know men they've been beaten down so bad they ain't gave up the fight in life. Like they just going along waiting on the next day. So, Mr. Pull Up, when we talk about making our mind a better place as a man, like clearing our mind. And I imagine what you do is therapy, right? You hear people's not only their problems, but you hear them from a different point of view. How does that provide relief and therapy for you to be a better man?
Um, I would say it's something that I love to do. So that's why it's therapy. Anytime my therapy is helping other people get through their situation. So, and I get that peace of mind that, okay, you know what? He came in my shop. He was, feeling some type of way. He was going through something with his wife, and, I take certain circumstances from their situation and I'd be like, man, it makes me realize that, hey, I don't have it that bad. So maybe I just need to stop thinking I have it that bad and just be grateful and understand like this, what I have is great compared to their situation. So, that's what helps me become better as a man, because it's like, okay, you know what? Like I can give you an example. Like the other day, the guy came and the wife cheated on him, and it was just like he didn't really know how to deal with that, so I helped him get through that. And I was just thankful that what he was doing was he was cheating. So he got mad at his wife for cheating. So it's like this. It was like, okay, bro, how can you get mad at her even though it's wrong? But you can't go off the deep end because she did it to you. You got to realize that what you get, what you put out. So that was my advice to him. Even though he didn't want to hear it, but he heard it. But it helped me understand, like, I can't treat people a certain type of way and expect for them to be okay with it. Now, everybody may not handle their situation like the girl did, but just in case, you got to understand as a man that that's what you put out. That's the type of vibe and energy that you put out. So you can't go off the deep end. So that's what I learned from that situation, and that's what helps me become a better man.
No, I love that story. And let me say this to everyone, nobody get mad. I know we have a lot of women that's watching. The reason I knew Kamala Harris was not going to win the presidential election, because I sat in the barbershop for about 6 months and I heard every man, a lot of black men say, nah, they ain't going for that. And I knew that was because the barbershop is a place that most men feel very comfortable to say they piece. There's usually not women in there unless some bring their kids. That is a place, if you want to hear the unvarnished truth, yeah, the barbershop is that. And I heard that over and over, and I would say it to women. We even had a show talking about the candidacy, and I'm like, nah, I went to the barbershop. And I'm telling you, I don't think black men going for this. No, they just need to get on board. Nah. So I said all that to say the barbershop is one of the few places I think for men you can go and almost have therapy, bounce sports off each other, bounce marriage. Man, I hadn't heard so many people's marriage issues at a barbershop. Be like, this ain't the counselor's office. People's speeding tickets, they romantic stuff. You just hear it at the barbershop. So I appreciate what you do, Mr. Puller. Fred, let me Fred, from a standpoint of therapy, I mean, man, you you work around people that are not alive anymore. How do you get your mental release from stressful situations as a man?
A therapist. Man, I have a therapist. I've had a therapist since 2012, and I go twice a month, every month. And I always make this joke. You know the song "The DJ Saved My Life"? Man, like honestly, my let me back up. When I first started dealing with issues of PTSD, they actually gave me Xanax, and then I started on it was a generic for Prozac. I can't remember the name of it. And I was apprehensive about taking it first because in our community, That's just not something we didn't have counselors, we didn't have therapists, and you don't want to take medicines. And so once I started on my medicine, start actually talking to a counselor and learning how, like I think Warren said this earlier, we don't understand how powerful our minds are and what we tell ourselves. I was telling me that I was a failure. I was telling me that I wasn't good enough. I was telling me that everybody else's life was way better than mine. But when I started working with my counselor, and we did it was called cognitive processing therapy. And cognitive processing therapy, it causes you to challenge everything that you tell yourself about you, and you have to provide evidence either for it or against it. You have to challenge every thought. And so that I look so forward to my therapy appointment, even next Wednesday. But the other thing that I look forward to, like people like Mr. Pullup, when I go to the barbershop and Pastor Ed and you, Lamont, when I talk to other men and I get out of my head, I come to the realization that oftentimes we will lie to ourselves and we will believe that we are the only one going through whatever this situation is. I'm the only one going through marital difficulties. I'm the only one that have children that are disobedient. I'm the only one that, and the fact of the matter is, it's not true. If each and every one of us took time to get to know each other, and not saying just having griping, complaining situations or sessions, but just take the time to get to know each other intimately. I tell Mike, like I said this last week, and I said it, I tell Lamont things that I have not shared with my pastor, things that I've not shared with my own siblings, because we have that type of relationship. And then I realized that I'm not in here by myself. But Lamont, I know your wife is perfect. You have a perfect marriage, not like mine. But I'm just saying, if I complain, you understand because other people have told you.
Man, let me say this. My life is jacked up. Like I'm in no place. And I think that sometimes we put ourselves in such a judgmental state that people don't feel comfortable sharing or talking to us because we act like our life is so much better. I've talked about last week having to seek counseling to continue. The world would not want to see Lamont Rashford without counseling. That's not a good thing for anybody. Like I knew I was messed up. I knew everything I was touching, I was doing was creating problems. And you're right. And I think all the black men on this panel could agree. Therapists, counseling, that is not something black people have traditionally done or went through. We'll say go to the pastor and the church will say, oh, they got demons in them, blah, blah, blah. Man, there's things that the church couldn't help me with. And I'm not being funny with that, church folk, but I needed to see someone to work me through problems and stress and failures in life. And I continue to need that mental tune up to get myself right. Warren, go ahead, Fred.
Let me jump in real quick because you said something and I want to touch on it real quick. One of the things that I remember hearing people in the church talk about, and maybe I just went to the wrong church. You guys ever heard people talk about the witch is riding you or the haint is riding you? You ever heard that before?
Yep. The devil riding your back.
Yeah. And so what this is, Pastor Ed, because I see you like, nah. So what people used to say a long time ago, like if you're asleep and you can't wake up, they would tell you that a witch is riding you. And so one of the things I was dealing with when I got back home from deployment, I would be asleep at night, and in my dream, something's chasing me or something shooting at me or whatever. And in my dream, I'm saying, Fred, wake up. Fred, wake up. But I couldn't wake up. I'm trying to get up, and I couldn't. So I was at a doctor's appointment, and I was telling the doctor about, man, and I'm explaining to them about this Freddy Krueger type dream situation. I found out that it was actually called sleep paralysis. Sleep paralysis, it comes, you get it for a variety of different reasons, but it was a symptom of my PTSD that I was dealing with. But for years, I thought that I was dealing with a spiritual issue when it wasn't. It was an issue of PTSD that just hadn't been treated. So again, I love the church. I preach and teach the gospel of Jesus Christ, but I am saying that sometimes we get it wrong in the church.
And Warren, let me go to you. And let me say this when we talk about understanding ourselves or as men, like, man, being able to talk to somebody. Like there are some things, and it maybe it's society, maybe it's my own pressures. I'm like, man, I can't talk to my wife about this. I like it might make me sound unmanly. Um, some of the medication I've taken over time because my nerve endings are all jacked up from surgery makes me have very vivid dreams. I mean, dreams I would swear that I saw a person or this. That sounds like you might be having mental hallucinations. And you need to have those conversations in a safe space. So Warren, I asked you that, like, how do you as a man confide and make sure what you're sharing is in a safe space?
Well, you know, Lamont, I'm married to a therapist, man. You know what I'm saying? So I get therapy all day, every day. I just be wanting regular conversation. But yeah, so far as I realized far as therapy goes, man, like I needed it. You know what I'm saying? I ain't gonna say I never took the profession seriously, but being married to Candace, you know what I'm saying, pulling back the layers, I realized how much therapy is important. She has a therapist, you know what I'm saying? So I love it, man. It help, you know, I connect therapy with wellness. It's the same thing, you know what I'm saying? So repeat the question one more time so I can answer. Repeat it for me.
Where do you find your safe space and be able to confide? And let me say this: I don't know your situation, but my wife also is a mental health counselor.
Right, right,
Um, and as a man, I ain't trying to hear that all the time. I don't
right.
want to feel
I
like I'm
don't.
one of your patients
I don't.
or your
I
subject.
don't.
So where is your? I'm being truthful and honest, man.
Right, right.
Like so, me, Warren, where is your safe space?
So being married to Candace helped me understand that it's okay to talk to other men and healthy men, healthy mindset. You can't get advice from everybody. You know what I'm saying? You
Mm.
feel me? So good. Nobody perfect, but somebody who kind of like-minded with like me, man. I don't call. I definitely don't go to church every Sunday, man. You know what I'm saying? Like you, Mr. Lamont. You feel me? But just strong other strong men that don't mind, keeping it real, being honest. You know what I'm saying? That's what I get my safe space from. You know what I'm saying? So I got a therapist too. You know what I'm saying? In home, got a real therapist, and then sorry, Candace, another therapist, and accountable, men such as yourself that I can talk to and really express without being judged. And yeah, so that helped me out a lot. Oh,
Pastor Ed, I pride myself as being a man that people can talk to and not feel judged. Like I pride myself in it. Like I want to be a space that sometimes in this world I don't feel like I have. Right? That I can say, hey man, today been a rough day. Today kicked my butt. As a pastor, I think a lot of people have turned away from the church for advice on their own mental health. What are your thoughts on that?
So a pastor should be a supplement to a licensed therapist, right? A pastor cannot replace a licensed therapist. What I mean is there are people that go to school for this. My daughter has a master's in psychology. Guess what? She has a therapist. Why? They advise them to have therapists, right? Because there are things that we in the church cannot deal with, and we got to stop being arrogant thinking that we can handle every situation. We are not equipped to handle every situation. Now, I am equipped to bandage up a wound to get that person to a doctor, right? I can listen, right? To me, the most powerful thing a pastor can do is listen and listen and pray, because really you're not going to find someone else's solutions. You're going to help them find their solutions. Isn't that what a therapist does? They help you speak about your situation in a way that you can unpack. That's what my therapist does, right? I have one too. So we're going to all have therapists, and everyone, all these folk with therapists. Yes. Because for me, I had to get in my mind goes a million miles a minute. And if I don't have someone to help me unpack it, it can be overwhelming, right? So I find that for me to help other people in the church, the best thing I can do is be available and not have solutions, but have a listening ear. So I listen twice before I say a word. I'm asking more questions off of what they're telling me versus telling them what to do, right? Every every statement they give is a question for me, because I want to have further understanding and be able to understand where they're coming from. Because even though we're all, I hate when someone says, I know exactly what you're going through. No, you don't. Well, I lost my daddy too. Different situation. Everybody's situation is different. So I challenge anyone who's listening tonight, any ministers. We do more damage than almost anybody in the church, because we give people our opinion as fact. And we say that the Bible says when it's our opinion. We just got to be careful. And I do think linking churches with therapists is a powerful thing. If we can get to the point where we're the intermediary versus the final destination, folks are going to have better mental health, and they're going to be stronger in the church. They're going to be stronger in the community. But I think it starts by being quiet and listening to people and hearing their heart, hearing what they're not saying, reacting to what they're not saying, you know, and not over talking people. It's not double Dutch, waiting till you get your response. I think we have to stop doing that and just hear brothers out.
Mr. Pull-Up, and I was looking, thank you, Minister Donald Lee, for commenting. And it's someone I also talk to regularly. Like, we can make changes in life as men. And sometimes as men, we're going to hate on each other. And I hate to say it that way. Like, men sometimes will, because you're not doing a thing, you're saying that ain't the thing the other person should be doing either. We're giving the worst advice ever. How do we do better as men, forming real friendships that not centered around our hormones, or, you know, you like this woman, so I gotta hate on you a little bit too. You know what I'm saying? Like, how do we stop getting in this competitive environment with other men?
That's the deep one.
Boy, there's some haters out here.
Yeah.
Like, it's some men out here. I don't care if you're married, you got a significant other, want exactly what you have and will hate on that to get it. Just flat out. I'm asking Mr. Pull-Up. Now, Fred, you stay out of this. You've been married for 40 years. You don't need no parts of that. How do we become better forming bonds?
I don't think, this is me personally, I really don't think men need to stop competing. I think we need to stop competing in silence, because competition isn't the problem. I feel like isolation is. Men compete because they lack effort in certain things and they measure their worth. The issue is that, you know, we compete without sharing information, you know, context, or if I know something, you know, they might be afraid that, hey, he gonna do better than me in that, you know. So instead of saying, hey, you know, I had to figure it out on my own, and you should too, we should be saying, you know, here's what I've learned, you know, the hard way, so you won't have to go through that. You know, that's how, you know, men advise each other. You know, that's how I feel like, you know, you let your ego go, and that's when you start to acknowledge who you really need to be for that individual, and help that person level up as well. But by me being in the business that I've been in, you can try to tell somebody something that, you know, hey man, I feel like this would be better. But just because you said something to them about something that could be better, they feel like I'm trying to outshine them, or instead of, you know, hey man, I'm the outside looking in, and maybe this advice might work. So and that's what I feel like. How can I put it? Men have a hard time navigating that feeling, and they get it confused, and they get very emotional with that standpoint. So that's what I feel about it.
And I'm gonna reverse this a little bit. Pastor Ed, how do we stop competing? And I think Mr. Pull-Up put it in a more eloquent way than I did at first. How do we stop competing with each other? And I'm sure it goes on with churches and church bodies. How many people do you have? You know, what is this? What is that? How do we stop that?
So I agree with Mr. Pull-Up. Like, competition is ingrained in men, right? Like, striving is ingrained in men. Winning is ingrained in us. But I think that we can, iron sharpens iron, the Bible says too. Like, so competition should be to make one another better, not to tear down the other person, right? And the church is the worst because you start a church. I can tell you, any pastor that started their own church, I started a church with nobody, right? Essentially my wife and a few folks. Nobody gives you any advice on how to get started. No one will share anything with you. You are out there on an island and you have to figure it out. It's probably the most frustrating thing is what churches are the worst about it. It's the Crips and the Bloods, right? If you leave my church, don't come back. If you leave my church, don't take anybody with you. You know, and what I've come to learn is it's not at that point, folks are afraid, right? But really, Mr. Pullup's trying to make me a better man by if he says, hey, this worked for me, try it. If it doesn't work for you, don't do it. But why do we have to have opinions on everything? Like, I don't eat chitlins. I don't have to tell the world that I'm not going to eat them. Just don't eat them. But why do you have to bash someone else that eats them? If they eat them, that's on them. I don't want them, but that doesn't, my wife eats them. I kiss her somehow after she eats them. You know what I'm saying? Like we as a people have got to stop thinking that when someone else wins, we lose. What if we both win? And I think that's what the church has got to do a better job of. We need to be in the business of everybody winning. You know, I don't want everyone to get a trophy. I don't believe in that either. My daughters competed and nobody like clapping for the person that's coming in last. I know you ladies think that's a great thing. When you're running a track meet and you're dead last, the last thing you want is people to call attention to the fact you're dead last. Just any of y'all parents that do that, understand that you're not inspiring that kid to finish the race. You're actually calling attention to the fact that he's last. So we've got to be careful of how we give attention to people that step out there too. You know, if you see someone steps out there in a way they told something that was really hard for them to speak about, don't belittle it, don't make fun of it, but use it, you know, use it to grow. And maybe I'm talking too much, but I just feel like we separate ourselves into groups, right? What you do for a living, who you married to, how big's your house? First thing folks ask me, how many folks at your church? Why does that matter? The first question you should be asking me is what I believe in. You should be asking me, do I believe in Jesus? Do I believe in salvation? It shouldn't be, well, how many members you got? You know, so I think we have to teach people to ask the right questions. How much money you make is not the right question when you're talking to an entrepreneur. That's not the right question. And we got to start teaching one another to ask the right questions as a people, because trust and believe our counterparts know the right questions and they're getting the answers to their questions because they're sharing information that we're not sharing.
Warren, we talk about this quite often, about this competitive nature within our community. And I want to focus more on men. How do we stop this? And they're right. So Mr. Pullup and Ed is right. It's not the competition. It's the withholding information. It's the bickering back and forth. How do we help solve that problem? Because, yeah, it can be a little messy in the background with men.
We just got to communicate, man. Like, you know, like they were saying, you know, competing is in our nature, but I'm just gonna speak on us black men. We can't afford to be competitive in certain areas, like building each other up. You know what I'm saying? This ain't football. You know what I mean? This ain't sports. We talking about, you know, for years and years and decades, our people suffering. So you want to keep it real. We got to communicate. What we compete. If I know something, the only reason I wouldn't tell you is because I feel like you'll do better. So hate is hate to me. Hate is hate. So communication is the key. Communication is the key, man. We got to talk and we got to stop being afraid that maybe that person might do better than you. So what? But don't we supposed to pull each other up? Why are we so afraid if I give this person this information that they might, why you feel like they're going to outdo you? Don't we supposed to be together, building each other up? Communication.
Fred, I asked you the same question about communication. I think about some of the conversation we had. You were recently working on a rental property, and I was like, "Hey, have you thought about XYZ?" Because you're not my competition. You know, I want to see you succeed at the best price, the best cost. And if I know something, and I do the same thing with Donald or Minister Lee, he talks about investment and stuff like, "Hey, have you thought about this?" And also on the flip side, he'll tell me things that I hadn't considered How do we stop this unhealthy competitive lifestyle we're living?
Well, I remember being in church growing up, and our benediction, they would always say, a man that has a friend must show himself friendly, but there's a friend that would stick closer than a brother. And I didn't know what that meant. I was just saying it because that's what we said. But Proverbs 18 and 24, one of the things that I think about is how I present myself to other folks. Do I come in trying to stare somebody down? In which, if you guys don't know me, I'm 5'6" on a good day, 155 pounds. So nobody's really afraid of me. But I think that many times our demeanor shuts doors or puts up barriers. And I know we're talking about from a male perspective, but I think a lot of what we're talking about is a cultural perspective, because you don't see other races, you don't see other ethnicities, you don't see any other race of people or men doing what we do against each other. So I realized this. I wrote some notes. So this is something else I think about, Lamont, when you talk about this. When we talk about, I don't see you as my competition, and you are not my competition. But it's unfortunate that there are people out there competing with us, and we don't even know we're in a competition. I shared a story with Lamont. It's been several weeks ago. We were talking. One particular day, my wife and I was giving this guy a ride home this particular day, and I shared some information with him about some things that I wanted to do business-wise. I said, man, I really would like to have an attractive female rider riding the motorcycle. And I'm just talking about from a business perspective. You don't see females riding motorcycles, leading funeral processions. But in his mind, I think that he thought that I had not shared that with my wife already. So we're riding along. My wife's in the car with me, and with us. And then he starts saying, Fred, can't you just see some woman just straddling that motorcycle? He made a conversation that he and I had privately. I'm assuming now he's trying to throw it out there for my wife to hear, thinking she's going to be mad, not realizing that I've already had that conversation with her as well. So, like shady stuff like that, it lets me know that he's in competition with me over something that we should not even be competing over.
Mr. Pull-Up, as we work through so many different things, what in your opinion is our biggest struggle as a man? What do we struggle the most with? And that can be collectively or individual. What do we struggle the most with? And let me take you off mute while you thinking.
Yeah, because can you repeat that again?
What is the biggest thing that we struggle with as men? And that can be collective. And I'll tell you from my opinion while you're thinking, is too many expectations on ourselves that can never be met. We put more pressure on ourselves than anyone else puts on us, and a lot of it can't be met in the time frame or the logic that we're trying to make it happen in. That's just me. When I look at a lot of men, we're trying to do too much too fast, that really will destroy us and make us leave this earth faster.
Yeah, yeah, that's it. We put a lot on our shoulders, we try to do a lot. Because that's what I seen my dad do. I seen him carry the whole house. I seen him go get it, do what he got to do. But sometimes, man, I feel like we put too much on us, and then we don't have anybody to really talk to or do this. And then and I ain't gonna say now, some people do snap. Some people go crazy trying to keep up with these bills, trying to make sure everybody else happy, but him. So, and he forget about himself. He get lost. So I would say I agree with you. I feel like that's the biggest problem as a man that we have, is we put too much on us.
Warren, the same question. What is the biggest issue you think we have as men?
Not getting help, man, whatever that look like, you know what I'm saying? Necessary steps to take to better yourself as a man, you know what I mean? And being honest with yourself, and the main person being, a lot of us in competition with ourselves, you know what I'm saying? That's the main person. A lot of issues that we ain't never got, taken care of. That's why it's important, the therapy, getting to know yourself better, what that look like, what I'm saying, for you to be a better you. A lot of us got a lot of childhood traumas that we never touched or never want to talk about or never want to, get healed. So we carry that, I think that's the main thing, I have seen in men, and that was my problem. I didn't, I thought I was okay. Just like the first episode, man, like us not talking to nobody about it, or I can just deal with that. I'm gonna fall, I'm gonna get up, and I'm gonna, just brush myself off. You know what I'm saying? Because that's what we was taught. I think old wounds and that we never get help.
No. Pastor Ed, biggest thing, and you probably see it from a different perspective as a pastor, or maybe not, because you're still a man. And as you point out all the time, I have 2 daughters and a wife in this household. What is the biggest thing that you think, biggest pressure that men face?
Lack of identity. We don't know who we are. We have allowed other people to tell us who we are systematically. And I'm not, we don't need to get into systematically what we've been created to be, but we've been called all kinds of things, and our value has been placed on us versus us determining our worth, right? God has already given us a worth that's priceless, but we have diminished our worth. And it's much easier to lower your value than it is to raise your value. So our problem is we start off low. We have expectations of failure. We've already, my daughters are in STEM classes, right? When they were in school, and all the young women, my daughter would say she wants to be a cardiothoracic surgeon. I think that's what Jasmine want to be, right? But all of her male counterparts that look like her, I'm going to be a basketball player. I'm going to be a football player. But all the other brown counterparts are saying, I'm going to be a lawyer. I'm going to be an agent. I'm going to be a doctor. So we don't know our identity because our identity has always been tied to entertainment. The well-paid folks in our culture are always entertainers. We're athletes, we're comedians, we're cooks, we're singers. But what about the scientists? There's been plenty of them. And again, looking back on our history, we've got to teach our young people that their identity before being basketball and football players was inventing things, the atom bomb, discovering things. There are math geniuses, like all these things. We've got to teach folks what their identity is. And I think we as men, we don't know our identity because we've been taught that we got to be perfect. You got to make everything happen. You don't need nobody's help. You got Jesus. What's that song? Long as I got King Jesus, don't need nobody else, which is the biggest lie, right? We know that's a lie. God created us for each other. He created us to draw strength from one another. But until we find our identity, we're always going to listen to what other people say we are. And they're always going to determine our worth. So we've got to start talking about what our true identity is, not what everyone else says it should be. And I think we as men have an identity crisis right now. We have it in the church. We don't know what being a man is anymore. We've been told that being a man is this. We've even been called toxic masculinity. I will argue, my daughters get mad when I argue. What does that mean? Tell me, I know what it means, but tell me what that means. Because ultimately, if we take away what makes a man, then what is he left? And what about smoothing off some of those sharp edges and just making him a better him versus trying to change him into what he's not? And I think that's, again, knowing your identity is what you are. Once we know where we are, we know where we can go. But until we know what we are, we don't know where to go. So we're all looking around like Braille trying to figure out our identity. Most of us don't know our identity. If you ask most men what's your identity, they'll say, well, I'm a husband. That's not your identity. I'm a father. That's not your identity. That's part of what you do, but it's not your identity.
Fred, what is the biggest issue from your standpoint that men face?
Man, I'm sitting and listening to the gentleman talk, and man, I could just say absolutely right for every one of them. The thing that I think the biggest pressure that men face is investing in themselves. I don't think that we have the bandwidth, the energy, the resources to invest in ourselves, because I believe we spend the overwhelming majority of our day investing in someone else's vision and in someone else's dream. And I understand we all have to work somewhere. We have to work for someone. But oftentimes I tell people, and Pastor Ed made mention about this earlier off show, that just talking about having visions, having dreams, and many men have lost those. So I tell people about Ecclesiastes chapter 11, verse 6, and it says, sow your seed in the morning, and at evening let not your hands be idle, for you do not know which will succeed, whether this or that, or both will do equally well. And so I tell people that I believe wholeheartedly that men need to invest in themselves. Don't quit your job, work your full-time job. And this is what that scripture is telling us. Work your, sow your seed in the morning, like get up and go to the guaranteed thing. But when you get off, you need to start work on developing and investing in yourself. And I can tell you this from personal experience. My wife, I really believe that my wife has always loved me. But I think that our love grew once I started chasing my vision and the dream that God gave me, and not even saying waiting. Like, she was down from the beginning, but I just feel like something ignited in her when she saw me chasing after what she knew God had called me to. And so I just think that as men, when we begin to chase after purpose, you won't have a hard time having your wife follow.
I like it. And let me, before I ask my last question, I want to say thank you to all the people that's watching, commenting, joining us tonight. I think it's important to have these types of conversations, especially when we talk about men and where we are in this space and the way our culture is changing so much. But I do want to leave us on the last question. A little lighthearted, might be a little controversial, but this is what I do. I'm gonna start out with Mr. Pull-Up. He ready for it. He leaning in. Is it okay for men? Hold on, let me get him off mute too. Let me get him. I don't want to miss a thing for this answer. Is it okay for men to still expect a big piece of chicken or a little special treatment? Like, is it okay? Like, if your wife your significant other go to that job and do everything that boss say, ain't cut an eye on time, shouldn't it be okay for the man to get the big piece of chicken when he get home? Go ahead, Mr. Pull-Up. Talk to us how you got things going at the house.
Well, y'all trying to get me kicked out tonight. I don't think, hey, I mean, I would say this. She do her thing, man, but I understand, to go on what you were saying. Some women, they don't. My wife, she get up and cook for me every day. Like, I got a meal waiting on me now. So she makes sure I'm fed. I can't speak for everybody else, but I can speak. I got it pretty decent at the crib. You know what I'm saying? So some men don't, though. And that's what I hear in the barbershops. Like, men talk to me about, how they get treated better. They get treated, their kids get treated better than them. So, and that's a problem that most men face. Like, the kids get a certain type of love that the wife ain't giving the man, because like the guy told me, man, I made them. Like, we made them, but I get the love. Like, I don't even come first in the house. Like, I don't get no respect. And, some men do deal with that. So I feel like, to, women, y'all have to start loving your men, the ones that actually is there, the ones you confide in, your actual protectors that, they come home every day, make sure you straight, that man at the job. And it's crazy that you said it, because I just had a conversation with a guy about that. Like, if a woman gets a job, she up first thing in the morning, cooking breakfast, getting her day started, but to go to work. But sometimes women don't even do that for their men. They don't even get up. The man get up at 7 a.m. They not even getting up at 5 to cook something for him for him to go to work. But they'll do that for make sure they fed and go to work and make sure they straight. So, I feel like a lot of women should do better with treating their men that way, just loving on them, give them that big piece of chicken every now and again, just treat them well. So that's my take on it.
Warren, you getting all these counseling sessions. So go ahead and tell us, is it okay for a man to get the big piece of chicken still in 2026?
We don't eat chicken no more, Pastor Lamont.
So you ain't getting nothing then. You just saying you getting a big piece of.
But no, it's just It's deep, man. You know what I'm saying? I just feel like this real.
I think every man understands what you're saying is deep. Okay, so
Yeah,
don't let me get you in trouble. I think Tennille put it best. Do not let Lamont get y'all in trouble. I'm just asking a general question about chicken. I'm not even sure what she's talking about, but I'm just asking.
I think, man, I just feel like, Candace do a thing too, like, Pull Up said, man, we just I ain't got to experience that, you know what I'm saying? Not at home. I mean, it's as you grow, you learn how to love on each other, man. You know what I'm saying? So I got partners that, they bust their butt, man, and they don't even get a warm-up dinner, you know what I'm saying? So I thank God I ain't in that position. You feel me? So, Candace, she cooked meat to her best ability, but so I say, you know what? I'm changing over to vegan though, man. But I think it's very important that I think when the love is in the house so deep, man, like you don't look at it like that, man. Not me, you know what I'm saying? Like if I come in the house and my daughter got her plate first, okay, you know what I'm saying? Like I don't think that deep in it, man. You know what I'm saying? My babies eat. That's my take on it, man. Want to see them eat. I don't mind eating first, but you know what I mean? To me, who cares?
Well, that was a lot of words.
Yeah.
That was a lot of words. And I appreciate that, sir. And I think every man that's listening to you understands your words, sir. Pastor Ed, come on, man. You at the church. I'm just asking in general. I'm with Tennille. Don't let Lamont get anybody in trouble. And the number one rule of higher definition, don't get fired. So don't say nothing on here that's gonna get you in trouble. But Pastor Ed, the church, and there's a whole bunch of biblical stuff to go into this, scriptures. Is it still okay in 2026 for the man to get the big piece of chicken? I'm just wondering from the pastoral side.
I mean, for me, I'm the last one to eat. As the
Kids ate
provider, I'm
first.
the last one to eat and the
Well,
protector, right? So for me, it's always that way. But I believe it's that way in the church. I'll tell you what bothers me to no end. I can't stand a pastoral table. Like I can't stand a table with pastors eating first. Like if we run out of food, guess who shouldn't eat? It should be the pastor that doesn't eat, because I should be able to be hospitable for everybody that comes to church. So but I get what you're saying too. As a man, if I can treat my wife like a queen, which I do, and my daughters like princesses, which I do, then I deserve to be treated like a king. And I'm not saying that I deserve priority over everybody, but I do deserve the best just like they get. I deserve to be treated with the same respect in a different way. There should be a respect for what I do, just like they have a respect for what they do. And I don't think there's anything wrong with that. I don't think it's wrong with being made to feel like a king in your own house. I think every man should be able to feel like a king in their own house. That doesn't diminish the role of the woman. It doesn't diminish her being a queen. She's important, just as important. But I think that if we can balance that, again, one doesn't diminish the other. I can shine, my wife can shine. But when it's my time to shine, let me shine a little bit. If I don't want to go out for Father's Day and y'all just insist on me going out because this is what you want to do for me, well, that's not what I want. So respect that and let me go to the house because I don't want to go out. That kind of thing. And I just think like everybody's saying, Brother Warren saying, I'm blessed with an amazing wife, but I have to pick my spots too. I've been married long enough. So I'm probably not as scared as y'all, but there are times when we disagree, right? We're going to disagree. But one thing I will not give away is I deserve respect, just like she deserves respect. And I will always give it, but I always expect it in return. Because if I can't get it in my own house, if my wife's going out to feed some other pastor, but I haven't eaten, I do have a problem with that. Like if she's making a cake for everybody in the church, but I don't ever get a piece of cake, I don't eat cake, but that would make me feel a little funny, right? Like you're always bringing food to everybody else, but we have to eat out all the time. I got a problem with that. You having potlucks at work and you spending all night cooking, but then when it's time to eat, oh, you got to fend for yourself. That's not my wife's story, by the way. But
Oh,
just
boy.
understand, I think that balance matters, and balance as a man matters. And I do think that we have gotten away from the balance. We're focusing so much, and I probably get fired for this, but we focus so much on making women queens. We don't then expect being treated like a king back. We're so focused on making sure that our daughters are queens, but what about them seeing a king in action? How are we teaching them what a real man should look like unless we're demonstrating that, unless we're exhibiting the behaviors we want them to follow, right? A king is royalty. They should expect to marry royalty, not some joker that doesn't know. Like, you know, I might need to stay at somebody's house. I don't know which one of y'all, but
Man,
Come
You
on
gotta go a
down.
little deeper, Lamont.
man, it's a lot of answers me asking about chicken. I'm not sure what's going on here, but and watching Mr. Pull Up, I am sure these are not the answers he get in that barber chair. Let me just go on record and say that. I am positive when a man sit in and that question about some chicken, it ain't all these twists and turns and explain that, yeah, but my wife a good woman. It's these other people I'm talking about. Let me go to Fred. And then
well,
who
I
was
want
the
to hear your answer too after Fred,
hold on.
Mr.
Well,
Yeah,
you're
definitely.
gonna
Lamont.
get my answer.
Yeah, we
You
need
gonna
that
Okay.
now. We
Yeah.
need that
hold
now.
on. We
Right.
don't want to stop Fred's oil from overflowing. Fred, is it okay? And let me say this: I'm trying to find a comment. Like this, is definitely some 2026 stuff. Yeah, the children should eat first. Nah, that's some 2026 stuff. That I did not grow up where that was the case, and I don't think most of us in this age group grew up where the kids were eating before daddy was eating.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
Fred, um, is it okay in 2026 for the man to still get the big piece of chicken?
Lamont, listen, I want to call when I was listening to Warren talk. I said, man, this was Sammy Davis, man. You Sammy Davis Jr. tap dancing all around the question, man.
That's how you do. Okay.
Yeah. And
Okay.
so, yeah, and Pastor Ed, I'm gonna hit y'all. Like my response is, my wife is right. It doesn't matter what it is, she's always right. No, but real talk, like my son is 25 years old and he's married, and that's something that he does that he's never seen me do. His children will eat first before he does, and I'm just on the other side. I'm the polar opposite of that. If I've worked, I've bought the groceries. Sometimes I have to buy, we're talking, I'm trying to get dinner started. Listen, Doc, I'm gonna eat. I'm gonna eat first, and I'm probably gonna eat the most. Because if daddy can't get him to go to work, nobody else is gonna have anything to eat.
That was a short answer, Fred, but go ahead.
But it's true. It's the truth.
Go ahead, Warren.
I just think so many layers. Like it's there's so many layers on. Like Pastor Ed say, being treated like a king is important. But me getting the biggest plate, that don't matter to me. That don't make me feel like I'm a king or not. You know what I'm saying? It's other ways. What make me feel like a king is being appreciated for my efforts. You feel me? It's so many other layers, other stuff that, you know what I'm saying? Now, if I ain't get appreciated for, busting my butt for 12 hours a day, but I don't know, man. I think that's beyond me, man. It's 2025. Y'all still worrying about the big piece of chicken, Pastor Ed?
26, sir.
I got you. I got you. So get ready. But nah, I ain't tap dancing. It just, my daughter's 8 years old, Fred. She eats 7 times a day. Her metabolism, she whatever she eat, it goes, you know what I'm saying? Me,
Oh yeah.
I'm getting a little better. So, I want two meals a day. You know what I'm saying? I'm good. So if I come home and my daughter fed, my wife eating, you know what I'm saying? I'm straight. You know what I'm saying? Well, I just think it's so many other, on the real tip, I just think it's so many other layers of being identified as a king in your house. You know what I'm saying?
Oh yeah.
So
that's why I said my wife was right. So I'm trying to stay have somewhere to live too.
Now you try to beat me up. You and Pastor Ed.
No, I thank everyone for these answers. I was just asking about a piece of chicken, and it became something else.
What kind of piece of chicken though, Lamont? Is it fried or baked?
Well, you say y'all don't eat meat anymore. Well, you said your wife tried to cook some meat, so I don't even know where you were going with that.
Man, why you had to bring that back?
I didn't say it. You said it.
I hope she ain't no line.
So,
you gonna get me up.
I think we all can. Fred and I think, and Pastor Ed, all of us been married around the same time, 27, 28, 29 years. And yeah, I come from a very traditional household with my mom. My wife in the past, but my wife is very modern. Like her family on her dad's side are very educated people, and them standards I don't think was being upheld. My wife has tried a few times when my mama around and we got company to come out and bring a plate. Lamont, you want something to eat? Like, man, if you don't stop this showing out for these
Yeah.
folks. But she know and I know better than that. That is not how it is going on at the Ratchford household every day. That's for sure. But then also life is taking hold, right? Different work schedules, working, doing different stuff out in the yard. Like that ain't an expectation. But my wife does try to stunt and show out around my mama. And I know my mom and dad are both watching. Good evening, parents. Yes, when you see your daughter-in-law bringing out food, that is not how it's going at this house every night. Just want to let y'all know. So I did answer the question. And I'm glad. I don't know how a piece of chicken became this. We're gonna do our wrap up. I'm gonna go to Mr. Pull Up last because I want him also to give out his contact information, and information that people can follow him, and also if they need his services, get his services. So I'm gonna give you a minute to think about that. Warren, any final comments, sir? Not about chicken or vegan lifestyle. What's that? You got in trouble?
But I got to clear this up.
Go ahead, clear up what you need to clear up, sir.
I got to clear it up. So she do cook fish real good.
I think you digging yourself deeper and deeper.
Yeah, she cook fish real good. My baby can cook. I mean, so I wasn't trying to say she can't cook, you know what I'm saying? But she definitely cooked that fish real good. Lamont, you got an extra room, man?
My bad, man. I just asked about people getting big piece of chicken. Any final comments?
Go ahead with the question, though. The last question.
No. Any final comments? Anything you want to put out?
I want to appreciate. I appreciate every last one of you guys. You know what I'm saying? This is definitely needed. You know what I'm saying? I needed it. You know what I mean? Like, coming up. This is foreign right here. Us men coming. Talking. You only see this in church. You feel me? And you barely see it in church now. So each and every last one of you guys, man. I appreciate y'all as a whole and individually.
Pastor Ed, I don't know if you got anything left. You were saying a lot about chicken and it got kind of convoluted. Anything else you want to say, sir, about kings and queens or manhood?
Yeah, let's pray for Brother Lamont when we all get off of here. Whether you're a praying person or not, he needs your prayer. That being said, I just want to invite everybody on the first Saturday in February. We're going to have a men's event at the church. We want to talk about men's health. We want to do it in person. It's not about judging one another. It's about reestablishing ourselves, right? Finding out who we are and having a safe place to be able to kind of discuss what our vision is, what our plan is, what our dreams are, and really just helping one another to be better. Brother Lamont's going to share it on, I'm sure, Higher Definition. God bless you for sharing it. We're going to share it on social media, but any men that want to come out, even though we're going to have it at a church, it's not going to be churchy. We want to just talk as men, right? We want to be able to just talk as men, just plain men. If you don't go to church, come on out, right? It's not even about that. It's about men coming together and trying to find ourselves, right? Do I want you to know Jesus? Absolutely. But I really want you to know who you are first. Right. And if we can start there, maybe we can have some dialogue and start taking back the authority God promised us.
Amen. And let me say this, for the people, if this is your first time, you've been rocking with us for 18 years since we've been at the radio station WRHI. Please like and share. This is what Higher Definition is. We put positive content out, talking about real issues. At least 48 weeks out of a year, we try to be a positive source. So thank you for that positive feedback. And for the people to say, pray for me. Oh, the truth is the truth. I went to church today. We can act like I don't know the truth, but listen, I've been doing this way too long to sit here and be lying to y'all about some chicken. This ain't how this thing going. Fred, any comments, sir?
No, and always grateful to be on. And I just want to piggyback, again, off of Pastor Ed said, hey guys, if you can make it out Men, if you can make it out, please, please, please do so. My only thing is, get you a therapist. It's nothing to be ashamed of. I'm telling you, your life will change for the better. And I promise you, men, your wife, she will thank you for it. I think this Tuesday month, we're going to actually air our first program of One Step Forward in Faith, Love, and Service. If you're not doing anything, watch it Tuesday. If you are busy, watch it any day during the course of the week. And we just want to inspire and encourage you through the Word of God.
Sorry. I'm proud of Fred. I can't say that enough. And yes, Felicia, please catch the replay. We ended up talking about the big piece of chicken. And I would like to know if your father, Deacon J.W. Knox, that's almost 90 years old, gets the big piece of chicken at home, or the grandkids eat first. Because these men came up with a lot of answers that I'm not sure what was going on. So I do want to say thank you. And Candace put her counseling services out. We need to be a positive influence, and just hearing these men's stories tonight and talking real, this is the way it should be. Casual conversations, talking about real life. Besides the chicken question, not putting any pressure on anyone to make themselves not a better man or a better person. Pastor Ed, we posted your flyer a few days ago. I'll keep resharing, and people have already started to share it if you look at our higher definition page. And this is for anyone that's watching us. If you have anything positive to put out, I will share it. Higher definition will share it. Your videos, your Wednesday Bible study, your podcast. This is not a selfish endeavor. And it goes back to what these men were talking about earlier. That's not what higher definition is about. All of us can grow. All of us can be better. There's enough room and space to cross-pollinate, to share other people's information. I have no problems with it. So reach out to me. I don't mind sharing your flyer. Now, I'm not sharing 10 hair care product flyers or your jewelry that you sell in every other way. I'm not doing that. I'll be transparent. But if you got something uplifting, I will support and share. And a lot of times, I will buy things from your business to support it. I will definitely do that. Last but not least, Mr. Pull Up, aka Mr. Pull Up, Mr. White. Great to have you this evening. Please give us your final comments and then anything. Oh, let me fix this mute. And I can't get you off mute. You're going to take yourself off mute. Anything that you would like to share to close us out, plus your contact information.
Man, I appreciate you having me. I grew a little, I appreciate all the advice, that I heard. And it was just a real dope experience. I enjoyed myself. And most people can find me on Instagram and Let Me Be Your Barber on Instagram, and Facebook is just my regular name, my real name, Jadario White. So that's pretty much it.
No, and again, I want to say thank you, sir. I plan on reaching out to this week. I would like to do something else, but I'll give you what that is when I call you, because I think you have a powerful testimony, and we need to encourage each other. Pastor Ed, I will push all the support I can to your event, because I believe you do very positive things. Warren, in the background, you were pushing a social event. I appreciate that. No matter if I can attend or not, I appreciate that, because you're trying to make sure that other people that look like you have an opportunity to survive, and that we know enough about it to make an informed decision. Fred, I thank you for what you provide. And in that, to close us out, everyone, I'm going to play Fred's promo video as we close out, and hope you're able to join on Tuesday. We'll air it at 10 a.m., but I will play a part of it as we close out. So be blessed, everyone. Have a safe and productive week.
I do the same.